Hey, Presley, now that you've had maybe a couple days to sit back and reflect, just how do you evaluate the way that this season went for you? How do you kind of sit back and judge your rookie year?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly been kind of a roller coaster. This has been a long season. I've never had a season like this before. College seasons usually aren't this long at all. I usually would play 12 games and only had one that was 13, going to one bowl game. But, it's been a grind. It's been week in and week out of different type of, opportunities that's on the table, different type of situations and, different type of feelings in the season and stuff. But I can say that I wouldn't have wanted to change anything through it. It's a learning curve, especially going in as a rookie and being able to be on a team and on 53 and actually playing, it meant a lot to me. And I'm truly blessed to the position that I am in today. And now that I look back on it, I wouldn't have wanted to change it anyways. I've had my ups and I've had my downs, and I've learned a lot through the downs of that time in this time period, the short time period. And it's really taught me a lot of lessons that I can continue to grow and continue to develop throughout the rest of the process.
We'll go to Jeff Hathorn. Jeff?
Hey, Presley, what are a couple of those lessons or a couple of things that really hit you about, okay, now I understand this, or things that you're going to bring next year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that I actually know the actual flow of a season now. When you're coming in as a rookie, you really kind of don't know what to expect. And the biggest thing that I learned too was back when I was training for the draft and all, that training and stuff, when I first got here, it really didn't even matter anymore because it was a completely different plan we're on now. So usually when I was back in training and stuff, I would kick 3 times a week. Basically still kick 3 times a week, but it's completely different type of punting than I would usually do, as well as working out. And the whole daily routine was different. But the biggest thing that I learned was, when you get into that process and you start learning it, you kind of find yourself in it, find what works best for you, finding that one rhythm that you can get in that, you feel most comfortable in, because everybody's a little bit different. But this year definitely taught me those lessons for sure.
Ray Fittipaldo.
Presley, staying on that theme of the NFL season being a grind, was your leg tired by the end of the season? Or are you talking more like just the mental grind of getting through 17 games and 5 preseason games?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was I didn't feel like my legs were too tired. We have our staff usually keeps us really, really on our feet and take good care of us. But I think the mental part was the biggest thing because I think it was around the point about October, November. That's usually when the season would start winding down and you would start getting into bowl season play. And that's when you have to just motivate yourself a little bit more to continue on and keep grinding because, this has been the longest season ever in NFL history too. And, every single week, like Danny Smith would tell us, every single week is a new week, a new opportunity. A new adversity comes every week. And it's just been that grind of, telling yourself whenever Sunday comes and Sunday goes, you have to flip the script and go to the next chapter of the book and focus on the next week. But you also reflect on the week before to try to learn from it. And I think that's the biggest thing, though, is the mental grind and, learning to have a little bit of a different mental toughness than college ball was the biggest thing.
Chris Adamski.
Hey, Presley, those final 2 games, obviously Corliss come in and he punted really well this couple of weeks. And when we asked Mike Tomlin, he didn't necessarily commit one way or another who was going to punt those. Did that mean something to you that they stuck with you and you essentially kept your job? And was that, did they have to tell you, did you go into those weeks did not knowing if you're going to get a hat that Sunday because, Corliss are competing in practice with them, or how did that kind of play out those last 2 games?
Yeah, actually now Corliss is a good friend of mine. As you all know, I think we're the only 2 that's been on the active roster that's actually African-American punters in this entire season. And, I have mad respect for him. And, this offseason, I already talked to him about getting together with him and, making each other better. But that competition was, it was good to have around. I was in a place to where, I had a lot going on personally. And honestly, I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to do it. Corliss is very respected for me, and I have mad respect for him. And him coming in and stepping in, it almost put like a smile on my face. I was a little bit worried about, being able to continue to have a hat and continue to be on the team. But, as an African-American punter, sometimes you kind of try to put yourself aside to, sometimes I guess you could say to let someone else shine. I'm not saying that I didn't want him to, but if anyone was coming in for me, I wanted them to do the best they could for the team, not even an aspect of just for me. But, I think the biggest thing during those weeks was the fact that, I appreciate Coach Tomlin and the Rooney family and everyone to continue to believe in me because it was a tough time. I've never had that much adversity put on me at once. I'm not sure if you guys know or not, but the Saturday night before the Baltimore game, my grandma passed as well, which was 2 weeks right after my dad. And, we had a decision that had to be made Sunday morning, but, I was completely motivated and I wanted to go out there and, just show the world that, everyone goes through adversity, but how to try to fight through it. And that was the biggest thing for me. And that's the biggest thing that I learned this year was any adversity can happen at any time. And the biggest thing that you have to do is keep God first and, pray about it and find what works best for you and get in your rhythm that helps you out to try to get through those things. And that's what I was able to do in the last part of the season.
Noah Strackney.
Pressley, first off, that is a fantastic shoe wall. Awesome.
Thank you.
What does this offseason look like for you? How could you, what do you plan to work on to kind of take that next step?
Yeah, I think the next steps are, taking a little bit of time off, going back home to family for a little bit of an extended period of time. I still got a mom and a little brother at home that I still worry about every day. So I actually get a little bit of time to spend with them. And just the biggest things is just working on consistency. I'm actually going to be training in different type of climates with different locations on the Southeast. I'll go back home in South Carolina and go to Georgia. I'll actually be trying to kick up here too, just to get, more of a rhythm of being in different climates around places that we play in during the season. But that's the biggest thing. And the other one is just continue to have that mental toughness. When you're in the building every day during the season, you have a little bit of accountability that people want to make sure that you're doing what you're doing. But, the biggest thing for off season for guys sometimes are you get too comfortable. But you got to keep yourself motivated, stay accountable for yourself, and, continue to do the work that you need to do.
Jenna Harner.
Pressley, you've mentioned mental toughness a couple times. Off the field, what was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself this season?
Oh, this is a good question. I think the biggest thing mentally that I've, kind of found about myself off the field was that it's okay to, not be okay sometimes. These last couple of weeks have been tough. When I first found the news out about my father, it was actually Christmas morning, and I was supposed to be traveling to Kansas City, but I decided to go home. That moment, in that car ride back, because flights were getting canceled left and right, so I had to take a 10-hour drive back home. But on that drive back, I took a little bit of a second to reflect on what my dad told me, and the biggest thing that he told me was to, whenever the time goes when he's not going to be here anymore, was to handle my business, take care of my family. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned during this season. Is, my life is different now and I'm not home and, I have this job of what is the NFL, but at the same time, you still have to handle your business outside of it. And he really showed me that just by that easy, small statement that he made was just to handle your business. But it showed me that, you kind of have to almost live almost like two lives when you're on the field or when you're in the building and outside of it. And I was trying so hard to get both of those to come together. I finally realized when he said that to me that sometimes you don't have to have it come together. And sometimes that, you have to reflect back to your family and the ones that's closest to you to give you that motivation during the year. I would talk to my parents, my little brother all the time during the year, but I never really sat down and just talked outside of football as much as I wanted to. It was always about, how is the season going? How did practice go and stuff? I never really got the opportunity as much as I wanted to because I was just so focused on doing well on the field. I never really kind of focused on, things outside of it and getting away from it a little bit because, this stuff can make you insane sometimes, especially with how long this season is. And I feel like that's the mental part that was tougher during the season as the season continued to go on, was how can you get away from it a little bit to motivate yourself to get back? And, that was the biggest thing that he taught me.
All right, we got a couple more. We'll go to Nick Fairball.
Yeah, Pressley, I think you might have had your best on paper statistically. I think your best punting game in Kansas City in that playoff game. I mean, how good did that feel just after everything that's happened? And then you talked about the mental toll, just to really punt the snot off the ball, really, in Kansas City. How good did that feel to put up that kind of performance to finish out your rookie year?
No, I honestly felt like I got back to myself. Mentally, it was tough, and I knew it was tough going into a playoff game. But the biggest thing that I thought about was, that my grandma and my dad are okay. That I know they're in a good place, and I know they're in a better place than here. And that gave me a little bit of clarity to, finally sit and relax a little bit before the game, because it was a night game. And I told myself, I'm like, you know what? Why not? Why not go out there and, prove to everyone that I am who I am for a reason, and I am where I am for a reason. And to just keep God first. I prayed a lot that day before the game. And, I just told myself, just go out there and have fun. And honestly, that was one of the most fun games in my life. Unfortunately, we lost. I really, really wish we won. But, for me individually, I felt like I had more fun on the sidelines, just being around the guys, being in that environment, because playoff environment is completely different. And, we talked about that coming into the game. And, I'm just happy with what the results were. But, I know I have a lot of work on the table left to be able to have that consistency every single game. And that's the biggest thing that, I wanted to leave the season with, knowing that I can leave on a good note so I can show them that what I can do, as well as continue to work myself into doing it just about every single time.
And we'll wrap it up for a follow-up. We'll go back to Brooke.
Hey, Pressley, first, I'm so sorry about your dad and grandma, and thank you for sharing all of this with us. Related to that, who were you leaning on in those couple weeks that were really incredibly tough, and something that I don't know that many, Steelers fans, anybody knew was going on? Who were you leaning on to kind of get you through that?
The biggest people I were leaning on was definitely my mom, my dad, as well as my grandma. I'll never forget that trip that we actually got them up for the game against Tennessee, I believe. And that was I don't know if it was Tennessee. I think it was another one. It was the last home game I played in, and we were actually able to, get them up for the game. And I'll never forget that moment. It was just all of us being in the house as a family for just that last time. It just makes me smile, because that was the biggest thing that, I wanted to lean on them, was that I didn't want them to worry about anything on my side of things. I was more so worried about them. And, just that true pleasure and joy that they got from being at that game was the biggest people that, I could say that I had the chance to lean on, being able to lay eyes on them. But outside of them, the two biggest people that helped me out was our team chaplain, Pastor Kent. Talked to him all the time. And I talked to also our player development guy, Darrell Young. BY is a big help. He's been a big help this entire season, but let alone, he's gone out of his ways to try to make sure that my parents and my grandma and my entire family were also taken care of throughout this time period and everything. But I'm just truly appreciative of not even just those people that I named, but also the Steelers organization and the Rooney family, because, when I first got up here, I was told that the motto of the Rooney family was family, faith, and football, in that order. And, that was something that, you kind of hear all over the place going out throughout college. We always say we're together, we're family. I really, really felt that whenever we got the bad news about my dad and my grandma. And, it was always family first. This organization is definitely family to me, and I know it's the same to them as well. And, we kept our faith, and, the football was the part that, is our jobs. But, I was actually extremely blessed and appreciative of all of the efforts that this family and the organization gave to me.
Awesome. Press, bud. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys as well. Hope you guys have a good time. And hopefully we get to talk to each other soon.
Sounds good, bud. We'll talk later. All right, man.
Thank y'all.